Chair now recognizes Mr. Timmons from South Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Spalding, I'm going to be directing all my questions at you. You're very familiar with Huawei and their attempt to use 5G technology to essentially infiltrate the technology infrastructure of developing countries and developed countries alike. And in the really 2018, 2019, as this was really becoming more of an issue, the FBI was very reluctantly transparent to show the world that Huawei is not secure. They're basically creating a backdoor. Their servers are compromised, and the Chinese Communist Party has access to all of the data, thereby compromising the privacy and cybersecurity of any country that has Huawei 5G. And I actually sponsored a bill last Congress, H.R. 4493, the Promoting Secure 5G Act of 2021. And what that bill does is it tells countries that if they want to borrow money from international monetary institutions, they're going to have secure 5G. It essentially cuts off funding for them to implement unsecure 5G. And so the Chinese, in response to this, in response to the FBI essentially outing them to the world that Huawei is insecure and that they're using their servers and there's no data security and no data privacy, changed course. So that they literally had to completely change course. They had to get third-party groups to come in and to try to vouch for them and allege that they are actually secure. And so, again, as we talk about how we're going to hold China accountable, I think Huawei is a perfect example because they were engaging in the global economy in bad faith. They were doing things that they weren't supposed to do. And the United States can say all we want, but we're only a small portion of the global economy. So when we tell our allies that this is a problem and why, and then our allies reverse course. India, Israel, a bunch of European countries have essentially banned Huawei because it's not secure. Are you familiar with all of this?
Very familiar.
And do you agree that by leading a coalition of partners to hold the Chinese accountable, it is a model that we are able to use to change their behavior? Because again, look, China has an enormous population. They have enormous natural resources. They're going to be a juggernaut in the global economy, but they can't cheat. We have to hold them accountable. They cannot cheat. So I just think that Huawei is a perfect example of how we can lead the global community. We can lead a coalition of international partners to change their behavior. Is that, are you following me?
Absolutely, and totally agree.
So I was very pleased. The Promoting Secure 5G Act that I proposed in 2021 was included in the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act and was signed into law December 27th of 2021. So, I mean, I'm doing my part to hold Huawei accountable in the global economy, but we need to replicate this exact game plan across the board. And, we're talking about TikTok is a great example of, again, if they relocate their servers to ensure privacy and have the rule of law where the Chinese Communist Party is not going to be able to compromise the privacy and data security of millions and millions of Americans' personal data. I mean, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for equity and we're looking for parity in the global economy. It's not just 5G. It's not just TikTok. I mean, the theft of intellectual property and the subsidization of businesses that are competing in the global economy, we have to reform their behavior. And I really think people don't understand that our system of government is designed to create a free market where the government doesn't put its thumb on the scales. And businesses compete, and if they have good products and services, they succeed. But in China, it is literally a part of their culture that the government is responsible for giving pseudo-private businesses an advantage. They give them advantages in permitting, they give them advantages in cheap energy costs, they give them advantages in reduced labor standards, whatever it is. Do you agree with all that?
I do agree with that. One point I would make, it's not just good enough to cut them off from the global economy. We must develop our own stuff. We must invest in ourselves, and I think that's an important aspect of it.
Absolutely. We saw during COVID that our lack of supply chain diversification was a huge problem. And, I mean, we need to realize that they are not our friends, and we need to get the rest of the world to appreciate that we cannot be overly reliant on an economy, on a country that is acting in bad faith for the purpose of becoming the global hegemon that will then reduce the rest of the world to subservience. That is their objective. And we have to push back on that because it's not a matter of if, but when, if we do not change course. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back. Thank you.
Very good.